Coming up on this week's show.
Maybe I won't name them because I'm about to maybe not say the best things about them. If you're not willing to like do all of this like really horrible work, then like they'll just get rid of you. I literally love trash TV. If you really believe in it, then other people will.
We have a fantastic guest for you today, choosing their top 5 tracks. She is a rising star in the world of fashion. She was born and raised in South London. She attended the University of Westminster, where she graduated with a first-class honours degree in fashion and design. She then set up her own brand label, This Uniform, of which she says, "Our goal is for people to connect with and trust our design language, choosing to wear it because it feels authentic, not just because it's on trend." Esme Marsh, welcome to the show.
Hello, Nige.
How are you?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you. Now, I need to preface this chat just by saying I know absolutely nothing about the fashion industry, so I'm hoping that you can fill me in about the ups and downs of fashion and the industry you work in. You were obviously into fashion very early, at a very early age. What drew you into fashion and why?
I think, well, I can remember being like a young kid, and my mum always jokes that like I would put all my favorite clothes together at the same time. And I don't think I knew that I necessarily wanted to like study it or like go into it as an industry, but I think from being young, I've known that what I'm wearing has affected how I feel in like my mood. Um, and I think I did it like throughout school and then ended up kind of doing it for a degree. I was kind of choosing between like a politics degree and a fashion degree. And then at that point, I was like, why on earth would I do a politics degree? Like, I think I was just kind of in a school where that was what most people were doing, like going on to do an academic subject. And I realized that actually I didn't have to do that and I could do something creative, which I was actually way more fascinated in and like genuinely interested in like my life as well. Um,
Yes.
yeah, so then from doing it at uni, I think it kind of just made sense to me. I didn't really feel like doing anything else. I went off politics. No, I didn't go off politics, but I just really felt like that I'd made the right decision there.
And then can I quote you now? As
Go for it.
okay, you said, having worked briefly in the fashion industry before starting This Uniform, I saw a lot of things that made me deeply uncomfortable. And I just have to ask, what were those things?
Yeah, so this is actually another thing with what I do now. I feel like I did some internships whilst I was at uni, which were like hugely insightful, and I'm really glad I did them and taught me a lot about, you know, the fashion industry. But I think if
So,
anything,
and these were these at fashion? They call it houses. I don't know.
yeah, they're at brands. So I did. Maybe I won't name them because I'm about to maybe not say the best things about them, but
Okay.
they were like amazing places to do internships, and I was so happy to have like been offered a place to do it, and I still am grateful. But I think watching the way we kind of like operated in the industry and also this seriousness of it and like working for a brand and also probably earning literally no money to start. I mean, when I was doing internships, I wasn't paid, but I think it just really made me really uncomfortable with doing this for something like going into this industry for the rest of my life in the sense of like working for another brand. I think there's so many toxic things that happen in this industry that still really exist in like so many brands today. And I really, really noticed that when I was doing my internships. In
What were
terms,
those toxic things?
so
Don't say it. If you're not comfortable saying, then. But
no,
I'm
no,
quite
no, I don't
intrigued.
mind. I wouldn't say it's unique to the places I was working at. I think it's actually
Okay.
an experience everyone has. And my friends who've gone on to work for brands have also commented on the same thing. I think it's just like a known thing. But like, um, well, firstly, the lack of pay, like the kind of exploitation in that way. Like a lot of students are used, but for like very important jobs that
Well, so
you
they're given so while you're at university, you're given a role that has quite a lot of responsibility, but you're paid nothing.
Yeah, and you're expected to work on weekends. You're expected to work until like midnight, and all of this.
Wow.
You're a lot of the time you're pretty much paying to do the internships because you're having to pay to get there and pay for your lunch and like
Because
everything.
one was in New York as well, right?
Yeah, so the one in New York, they did cover like travel and food, like lunch, but I didn't get paid anything beyond that.
Wow.
So yeah, it's
How long was that
crazy.
for?
That was for 6 months. Yeah, it's, I just feel like it creates this like insane environment where you have to basically have help from someone, or if you, so for example, I grew up in London, so I had the privilege of being able to live with my parents whilst I was doing it. But so many people in my class and elsewhere like didn't. So even if they were doing an internship in London, they would have to pay for their rent on top of that when they're not making any money. And then you don't have time for another job because you're expected to fully work. But it's kind of like creates this atmosphere where if you're not willing to like do all of this like really horrible work, then you just aren't worth this. Like they'll just get rid of you. And I don't know. I was just so uncomfortable with that. And I also experienced that actually in uni as well. So like when I started, my degree was quite competitive to get onto, but so there was like 40 of us, and I think like a few thousand applied. But the
Wow.
first project we did, they lined us up from best to worst on a rail, and then you just had to find where your item was on the rail. And I just think that is just unbelievably
Harsh.
harsh and
It's
completely
like public humiliation.
yeah, and I
Yeah.
personally believe that's completely counterproductive, because if you see
Yeah.
yourself at the bottom of that rail, then you're gonna just have this deep insecurity that you can't really make your way up. I just don't understand why that would be a productive way of working. Um, so yeah, there was things like that. Also, environmentally, pretty bad. A lot of these places, a lot of waste. Um, a
Is
lot
that a
of
thing? Like when you're in those brands, are they just don't care, or is it something they acknowledge and go, well, that's the industry, and sort of shrug their shoulders?
yeah, it's kind of just like that's the industry, and if everyone else is doing it, then we will, because otherwise we're falling behind. Which I don't believe is the right approach, but it's so like ingrained in it. I do think it is changing a little bit now, but like with the like rise of social media and people having more access to like be able to put themselves out there, it's like you can almost have a different in to the industry and like work, have a brand in a different way to how people traditionally had to brands. um but yeah, and also just like culturally it was, I not necessarily just what I experienced, but like I think there's a lot of unusual comments on weight and what people are wearing, like an
No.
inappropriate comments, and I don't know.
I've seen about half an hour of The Devil Wears Prada, and what you're describing sounds like that might be quite realistic.
I think, to be fair, my experiences definitely wasn't Devil Wears Prada level, but I think I definitely have heard many experiences similar. It's actually, it's obviously quite a, it's dramatized and it's quite an extreme version,
Yeah.
but it's not that far off in a lot of ways. I don't know, it might be different now. I did these internships quite a few years ago now, but
Not that long ago, is you're not that old.
no, I know, but I would like to think in the last few years at least something's
Oh,
changed.
okay.
I don't
Okay.
know, but I know because a lot of people would even do internships which were like brands operating from their bedroom, and like some of my friends like weren't able to leave, like, and they weren't being paid. It's so weird. You get so like you really think this is like a normal way to work when you're doing it, and then you like separate yourself from it, and you're like, hold on a second, what's
But
going on
also,
here?
like, how else would you know? Because that's your introduction to the industry, isn't it? So you go, oh, this is what everyone's doing, so I might as well just get on with it and do it if
No,
that's what I want to do.
exactly. And I think because
Yeah.
a lot of my friends actually, I have a lot of friends obviously who I went to uni with, but a lot don't do fashion. So I was kind of speaking to them and like watching their reactions, and like even my siblings and stuff. Everyone be like, Sorry, what did you just explain?" And I'm like, "Oh yeah, this is completely abnormal." But if a lot like people don't always have that experience, so it's kind of just like you just think that's the norm.
Yeah, yeah, exactly, yeah. And then from that, was your reaction like, oh, actually, I don't want to do that. I'm going to set up my own thing, which is going to be have a completely different approach.
Yeah, exactly. So I did the internships, and then I had my final year at uni, which weirdly, it was in COVID, but that weirdly worked well in my favor in the sense of we didn't have to go into university. So, as I said, my parents lived in London, so I was living at home, and then I was renting a studio for like £80 a month because it was COVID. So it was so
Oh,
cheap.
okay, yeah.
Um, and I could just like be in my own space and just make literally what I wanted without the influence of kind of being like directed really strongly in like what I should be doing, or like being like stressed out by everyone else around me doing something completely different. And it really like forced me to believe my own sort of design language and like develop on that in like my own space. And
And
so
explain that a bit more, is because I've read about it, but it is quite fascinating. Tell us about what this uniform kind of values for you.
so I think I just wanted to create a brand that, firstly, is not like the most serious brand in the world in terms of it is, but I think I just always want to remember that there's so much going on in the world, and clothing is meant to be like a good addition to like how you feel. And it's not, the world isn't going to collapse if you don't manage to sort of create like everything you wanted to create, or create things exactly how, or like if things go wrong, like it's actually completely fine. And I think that kind of gave me space to sort of play about in the studio a lot and like really experiment with different fabrics and shapes. And as I said earlier, like a lot of my friends actually aren't in the creative industry at all, or are, but maybe not in fashion. And it's just seeing what myself and they like to wear when we were like out. I on that year of my final year, I'd been to Wales with like a bunch of my friends who, yeah, are like my close friends from school. And I was just like watching how we'd all like layer up all our clothes from when we were going out for a walk. And it wasn't about looking cool at all, but I just thought it was so cool that everyone had dressed himself up in a specific way, which was like comfort, practicality, durability, and it was just not trying to be anything, but just to like completely aid that. And I loved that, to be honest. And I was like, I kind of want to create a brand where like all these things are at the core. I'm constantly thinking about like what myself and my friends would like to wear, but then also
Yeah.
developing them in like fun or silly ways, and like being creative and like, yeah, like childish and silly with it and not completely serious.
Yeah, and you also have like that's the right word, but an ethical approach to the environment with your everything you make, don't you? Which has its issues, I would imagine.
Yeah, I mean, I think, to be honest, this might sound a bit like strange, but I feel it's kind of obvious to create a brand that is at least conscious of the environment if you're starting when I started. I mean, I started 4 years ago. So I'm 28 now. So I don't know. It's always been, I've grown up being like, you don't waste X, Y, Z. And I feel like when you're younger, like all my friends were probably a lot more environmentally conscious than like these brands who've been going for years and years and years and just have their ways of doing things. But I started, yeah, like sourcing vintage fabrics. So I'm super into like antique furniture, antique fabrics, and like the history of clothing, and um, like how the value and meaning changes when they're passed on between people. That's something I'm really interested in. So I was kind of looking. I would go to this antiques fair where it's mainly for furniture, but there's this one guy who like gets this amazing like real like antique like 80, 70 years old fabrics from mostly like Eastern China. And I was kind of
Wow.
like speaking to him a lot about like the history and like how they've traveled and like why they are the way they are, why they've been stitched the way they are, and like the different widths. And that was like a really interesting place for me to start, because it was like reusing something that has so much history in it and like such a story that you can see on the fabric and like the patina and how it's been dyed, and then creating it into something that like we would wear now and it wouldn't look completely out of place. And I love
Yeah.
that sort of thing. And but I think that started with like the repurposing thing. And then I guess I kind of just, yeah, like just kind of carried on that route because I saw the beauty in it. And also, yeah, to me, it's just, everything will be like organic cottons, or if it is something it's synthetic, it would be 100% recycled. Everything, all our fabrics are recycled. Everything is like a really strong lay plan is made before we cut out into the fabric, so we can minimize all the waste. Most of the waste is kept so that we do a lot of patchworking and stuff, which we then like
Yeah.
make into different things. I think it does definitely have its limits, but I also think when you're starting a brand, you have financial limitations, so it can actually be a really good way to sort of like really utilize everything you have.
There's the whole thing around fast fashion at the moment, which is just cheap and throwaway. You're battling against the fact that the idea that actually fashion isn't cheap and throwaway, and you should spend money on it because it will last, which is a whole kind of other side of that argument, isn't it?
Yeah, and I find it really hard to know how much a consumer's mind will really change in that way. Like, I really like emphasize the importance of making durable clothing, because overconsumption is one of the most environmentally unfriendly things that can possibly happen.
For
But
sure.
it's definitely like hard, like, because people do just want things and they want them now and they want them quick. And when trends change, you want more things, and it's quite hard to know like how much you can really like how much consumers will really like start to understand, or when they will really start to like agree with that approach, because we still live in such a consumer like culture. um
Do you think it'll
but
be like a generational thing? Like like you said, your generation is much more aware of it than my generation ever was, and we learn and we adapt, I think. But the industries that were created around the kind of 1980s capitalist boom are still kind of pretty prevalent. So I wonder if they'll phase out as people sort of start realizing that and maybe buying less, and apps like Depop and Vinted might make their mark a bit, and people realize that actually you don't need to go and buy new every time.
no, I think for sure that is like the case. I think, yeah, there's so much to do with repurposing and upcycling. And if I ever I would post a video about like how I've like fixed something, people are really interested in that.
Yeah.
And I do think even you can design in a way that isn't. So, for example, I try to not make trend focused clothing, so that even if people aren't aware, they'll hopefully buy something from us, from this uniform, and then it won't, hopefully, that it was never in trend in the first place, but it's just a nice like timeless item of clothing, so there'll never be a need to dispose of it. But that's what I'm trying to like design, like to avoid overconsumption, just
Yeah.
avoid trends in general, and just try and create your own language of how you're designing things, and hopefully if you really believe in it, then other people will.
And you're sort of running your business with your principles intact, which is a good thing, I think.
Yeah, it's quite important to me to keep them, I think.
One last question before we move on to your tracks.
Yes.
What are your trash TV shows that you watch when you're working?
Did you see this in an interview? I literally love trash TV. So it's so weird. I can't explain it, because obviously I listen to music in the studio, but there's something also about having like Married at First Sight, 24 Hours in Police Custody, uh, so many like weird, spooky documentaries, um, even trash, like, which I don't want to admit that I watch, like Made in Chelsea, um, anything reality TV, I will probably have on. I think I was
Isn't
saying
it
to you,
distracting though?
no, it's so not. It's almost like your brain goes into a second. It's really hard to explain. I'm like extraordinarily productive if something trashy is on, like playing on my laptop, or like we used to have a giant TV and we just put on like the trashiest things, and it's almost like it's kind of like weirdly stimulating that part of your brain and like keeping you like occupied, and then you're like kind of not listening because it's complete trash and nothing's really happening anyway. Um, but yeah, oh my god, I love it.
Is
So,
your
so
is your brain? Do you think your brain's sort of going? I really need to just tune out of that rubbish over there and just focus on here. So that's why you sort of then just go focus on this, not that.
Yeah, I almost think it kind of like, if nothing's on or if music's on or something, sometimes it's really easy to get sidetracked and like kind of go into something else. But I think because it's holding my attention enough to not kind of, I don't feel bored, that I can just carry on like in a weirdly productive flow doing everything else.
Yeah, that's
I
hilarious.
know.
I'll try that at work and see if they mind if I'm watching this Married at First
Yeah.
Sight in the background.
Yeah, give it a
They
go.
won't.
If you have a top track with a great story, then you could be featured on the show. Just fill out the form in our bio and we may be in touch. Also, if you're enjoying the show so far, like and subscribe. Let's get back to it. Why did I move my hand?
All right, Ez, let's move on to your tracks. So your first one is James Blake, I'll Come Too. Here's a clip.
I wouldn't do this on my own, but I'm not on my own tonight.
So this is from his Grammy-nominated 2019 album called Assume Form. So he sort of, rather than going down the normal video route, he got a guy called Matt Meach to direct the video. And Matt Meach is an editor on Planet Earth and Blue Planet. So he came up with this concept, which is all actual footage of a penguin and an albatross. And the penguin is supposedly falling in love with the albatross, but the albatross doesn't really take any interest, and so sort of flies away. And it's really sad.
Oh, I was about to say
very
that's
moving.
epic.
It's very good. Anyway, sorry, I'll get back to you now, Ez. Why this song?
Um, this song is just like, it's one of those songs where it sounds really corny, but whatever. It's like a song where I really feel the lyrics. Like, it's super emotive to me, and I think what I was saying earlier about um like something that's so important to me is like connecting with my friends or like my family or my boyfriend, like that feeling of like really like connecting to the people who are around me. And
Connecting
the
what in a sort of deeper way than is usual?
not necessarily, but like I guess in a way I really like, how would I explain it? Like, there's one thing having like a lot of friends, and that's really nice. And I'm a very extroverted person, and I love being out and about and chatting to like new people and everything. But there's something where like some of my like a lot of my closest friends, including the two people I live with, like I went to school with. When I'm meeting people and when I like the closest people around me are all people I feel like I'm like super connected to in a way. And I think like the way this song describes the I'll come to, and it's sort of about fitting in around someone or something, but like you're still like able to completely live your life. And then you've got like, I don't know, it's just like a really precious song to me. And I think sometimes I go to Devon to get like this fabric, and there's something where I'll always want like one of the people closest to me to come on this trip. And there's something about the car journey and just being with one other person and like sharing that space. I don't know, it's something, the song that just really makes me feel what the words are saying.
Just go back to how you form your connections with people, because I think that's really interesting about how you look for a deeper connection with the people that have been in your life like a really long time. But how do you do it, like, without getting too deep about it? Like how?
I can be terrible at replying to messages and emails and everything, but it like the closest people in my like parameter of my life, maybe like the closest 15 people, they will always have a reply from me. I'll always be arranging times to see them, and like anything I'm doing that I think like reminds me of someone else who want to do it, I'll be like, let's do this thing together. I think something
Okay.
I like really take like pride in always making sure I do is like just being around these people and like making time and space for them. And like it's also really important when work gets busy for me, I think, like just to see these people and feel like I'm like having a connection with like humans and like people who I really connect to.
And then it's not all about
Yeah,
work.
yeah, exactly, because it can be quite
Yeah.
consuming sometimes.
And I guess, and I bet your friends and boyfriend feel very valued because you do take the time out for them, and it's obvious that you're important to them. So I think that's as a reciprocal thing, it's important to kind of receive that as well, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I hope so. I guess I feel really valued by them as well, so it's kind of like
Yeah,
a two, it goes both ways. And I feel like that's something I'm really like, just brings me a lot of joy in my life.
very lovely, Esme. Let's move on to your second track, which is an artist who I didn't know, but is it Saya Gray or Saya Gray?
Saya Gray, I believe.
Saya Gray. This is a song called Sadness Residue.
Petty picture frame I paint all over your face just so I can have a say. You've been taking all the space. Dip the bread into my forehead.
Oh, it's not a great video, but let me tell you about this. Is taken from a 2022 debut album, 19 Masters. She is Japanese Canadian, was born in Toronto. They're both very musical, her parents. Her mother is the founder of the Discovery Through the Arts Music School in Toronto, and her dad is a Scottish-Canadian jazz trumpet player who studied at Berklee College of Music. She's a touring bassist. She did it for 10 years. Did you know that?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And she went on tour with Daniel Caesar, who I didn't know, but he's like a Canadian singer-songwriter, and Liam Payne. The late Liam Payne, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, I
She was on
didn't
tour with
realize that
him.
you. Oh, I didn't realize
Yeah.
that. I knew about
And
Daniel Caesar.
she was a musical director for Willow Smith.
Ah, okay.
I don't know what a musical director does, but I just thought I'd throw that in there.
Well, I didn't know those last two facts.
No. And why this song is?
So I think this is probably like my most. No, I'm not gonna say that. This song is this sort of music and like alternative pop. I'm kind of using this song as a representation of that genre of music, and that is because in the studio, that is the sort of music I'll be playing to like really stimulate my brain and like.
I was going to say, doesn't it? If we listen to that, because it's sort of, for me, it's a bit complicated. You have to sort of focus on it and listen to it. So isn't it distracting?
Maybe it's similar to what I was saying earlier about like if my brain is stimulated enough in one sense, then it will kind of
Yeah.
like help me be focused on another thing. But Yeah, I just love this song. I love this album. I've also seen her live quite a few times, and she is just as good live. It's it's the sort of music that like is amazing for traveling, amazing for like making me think. Or like when I'm running, I'll listen to this sort of music, and her and this song. It's like it's basically just music that like really stimulates my brain. I feel, and I love it.
Yeah, it's very calming. I
Yes,
found it very calming when I listened to it. So, but because you're training for the marathon, right? How's that going?
it's going well actually. I
Okay,
had
good.
glandular fever for a lot of it, but that has passed now, and I'm feeling like actually really fit now. And I like the past couple of weeks have been really really good, so I'm feeling pretty excited. I've done all
Oh, good.
my 30-kilometer runs I've had to do, and
Wow.
yeah.
If I do exercise, I need to listen to loud kind of like guitar-y music to get me going. Whereas I think if I
I
was, go
sorry,
on.
carry on. No, I
I
was
was
going
going
to
to if
say,
I was,
you go, you go.
I think if I was training with this, I'd put in a lot less effort because it's just chilling me out.
I know what you're saying. Well, I will say a lot of her other songs are they have a lot more like rocky elements in them. But I feel like that for when I'm doing like a long run, where it's like not a speed run or anything, but just a long run where you have to get it done. I really, again, this sounds really corny, but whatever. I really think of like new ideas when I'm doing it. Obviously, when you're running for like 3 hours training, your brain just goes everywhere. So when
Yeah.
I feel like I'm listening to music like this, it really just, it doesn't have to be like super, super upbeat, but I love like you're saying, it's quite complicated music and just really beautiful to me. And yeah, really like stimulates my brain. And I always come up with like something will just like pop into my mind, like something, and then that'll lead me down like a path of like how I could utilize it. And yeah.
Your next track, I mean, it's going to need some explaining for me, as I've got to be honest. It's called Coca-Cola Shell.
Oh yes, sorry, I thought it was
MOB.
fourth. Yeah,
No,
I love
this
this
is
song.
Coca-Cola Shell, MOB. I'll play a clip.
Coco l'échelle Buzz bat fait qu'on go skatel Man ka check combien mimi top model Femme mada douce bat qu'on si roux miel
So,
So good.
I'm just the wrong generation. So apparently this is a phrase. This is from Creole, right? As from what I
Yes.
could gather, it means that once you know what's coming, you've been warned. So it gives you time to prepare. And then it says basically save your damn self. So okay, but it's a track used on lots of TikTok dance challenges, apparently, which is why I'm
Oh,
feeling.
I haven't
Yeah.
seen the TikTok dance challenges, but maybe
Oh,
that's
I
why
thought that's
somehow
why you
came.
might. I thought it might be where you picked it up from because you were doing dance challenges on TikTok.
No, I wasn't. But maybe it did somehow come. I can't remember how I found this song, but I feel like it's so. I can see why a lot of people are doing TikTok dance challenges to it. It's one of those songs that is just like super upbeat, like kind of very representative of 2025 for me, which was just a
Okay.
very fun year. I felt like a super independent year. And I was listening to a lot of just very upbeat music and traveling around a lot to see different people, go to different things. I was doing a lot of things by myself, um, and like just listening to like this song and a lot of other really upbeat songs and a lot of Afro beats and a lot of more rocky music. And yeah, I think I was just really embracing like more unusual things I hadn't listened to, or like just upbeat music that made me feel just great. When I think about it, I just think of myself on a Lime bike, traveling with the sun out, going somewhere I'm excited to go, and I just really like it.
That's a beautiful memory to have with a song, isn't it? You go, oh, I remember those days.
Yes.
Let's play your next track. This is Irreplaceable, Beyonce.
You must not know about me. You must not know about me. I could have another you in a minute. Matter of fact, he'll be here in a minute.
So taken from her second studio album, it was a fourth #1 in the US and probably globally as well, I'd imagine. And the lyrics were written by R&B singer Neo, which I didn't know, and he wrote it for himself. But I think when he listened back to it, he thought that it was quite indulgent for him to sing that, so he gave it to. Well, I think he put it out there for other artists to take, and then Beyonce heard the demo and went, "Yeah, I want that." And I think she changed it, and it started out as a country record, unbelievably.
Whoa, that is crazy.
know.
And
It is
also,
crazy.
the thought of a man writing it has really changed my
Yeah.
perspective. Because part of the reason I love it is that it's such a like girly song. Like well, it's my karaoke song.
Is it?
It's my karaoke song. Yes.
How
It's
well
like-
do you sing it?
Badly, but I think that's the point of karaoke. If you sing well in karaoke, it's just, well, I
shouldn't be there.
can't. Yeah, you shouldn't be there, and also I can't sing
Yeah.
it anyway. But yeah, no, this song to me is just like so girly. Like I can just imagine all the girls singing it. So the fact it's written by a boy is really funny. But I think it's also like kind of emblematic of my childhood and like the beginning of my love for like pop, and I still love pop a lot. And yeah, it's just so nostalgic to me and such an epic song and like super girly, and I really like that.
Because it is like a female empowerment song, isn't it? Really. And when I read that he wrote it, but he did say, I think in an interview, he said it works so much better when a woman's singing it. Because of that, because of the fact that it's such a female empowerment song, but it's you just go back to that initial thought that but you still wrote it for yourself and you're broke, and that's a bit weird.
It's quite funny because why does that seem so much worse? Like I don't know. There's something about like women singing where it does feel really empowering, but the thought of a man talking about himself being irreplaceable is just like so different.
Because it's just arrogant, then, isn't it?
Yeah.
Let's move on to your final track, Ez. This is Anything by Adrianne Lenker.
I don't wanna talk about anyone. I don't wanna talk about anyone. I wanna sleep in your car while you're driving.
So when I read about her, I was like, no way, because she's got a fascinating upbringing. So she's obviously the singer and songwriter with the band Big Thief. She was brought up until the age of 4. She was brought up in a Christian cult in Minnesota, I think. When she was 5, she was hospitalised after a railroad spike fell from the roof of a makeshift treehouse and lodged itself in her skull, and it nearly killed her. I know, right? That was my
goodness.
face. Yeah. She wrote her first song at the age of 8. She released her first album, Stages of the Sun, in 2006 at the age of 14. She also studied martial arts extensively and was state karate champion for 3 years in a row.
Epic.
Amazing. What an interesting person. Why this song is?
It's funny, I can't really pinpoint exactly why this song, but I think it was like one of the first songs I thought of when I was like asked about songs. I think it is just the most beautiful song I know. And even when you just played that tiny clip there, it was so weird. It was like I almost had tears in my eyes, which is such a dramatic response. But it's just such an insanely beautiful song to me, and I love her voice. I think it's the most incredible thing ever. She has a whole album with Buck Meek as well, which I love. Super American with like some country twangs to it, and yeah, I just love the style of music. Super beautiful, and yeah.
It is. She's got a lovely sense of melody in her voice as well, isn't it? Which I think is why it sort of makes you, or it sort of brings out the emotion, doesn't it? Because she's so emotive when she sings, and the kind of the hooks that she has is.
Yeah, and you can't really understand what she's saying, but I kind of love that. It just feels like you've like appreciating her voice as an instrument, which I really like.
Yes. Yeah, and you're a Big Thief fan as well.
I am, yes.
And seen them live?
No,
or her live? Or...
I tried to get tickets, and I thought I had like early bird access, but when I went on to get them, the time they were released, there was none. So either I was too slow or I messed something up. I will one day.
You've got to be really quick these days on trying to get tickets for anything good. Thank you, Ez. That's your top 5.
Yes, thank you so much.
How easy was it for you to choose them?
You know what? 5 doesn't feel like a lot at all when you're doing it, and I think it's really hard because my choice would change like every day. But I decided that I couldn't be overly precious, and I wrote a list of about 10, and I kind of was doing ones that were like immediately coming to my mind, and then I tried to like change around a bit to like kind of represent different reasons that I liked them. Yeah, so it was quite hard, but this is what I feel right now, and I'm quite confident of that. So that part really.
Yeah, and well, and that's because you could sort of pinpoint a song to a moment in your life that went, oh no, that really reminds you of that bit, and that's why I love that song.
No, exactly, and like we were saying earlier, like I saw James Blake last weekend, was it? And so he's very much. I'm listening to him a lot at the moment, and like being reminded of that song. So that one will always come round to being one of my favorite songs, but. Yeah.
Outside of that Coco Show one, they're all very melodically beautiful, aren't they? And the vocals on them are very distinctive and emotive, I think. So there's a real theme in your tracks, I think.
Yeah, I would say they're quite representative of like the type of music I listen to every day.
Yeah. Tell us about 2026 for you. How's it looking? What have you got planned?
So, work-wise, I'm going to Japan in May. I'm doing
Because you
some
do a lot in
pop-up there.
Japan, right?
Yeah, I do. I have a big customer base in Japan, which I love because I absolutely love going to Japan and doing pop-ups there. Um, and working with like the stores I work with there is really, really fun, and I can always like do really creative and fun things. So that's coming up quite soon. So I'm working on those pop-ups, and then I'm actually creating a new branch of this uniform, which is a more affordable range, which will all be made in Portugal. So at the moment, everything's made in London, which is something I have kind of been battling with for a while because I love it because it's local to me and I'm really like involved with the production of it all. However, I have realized I've come to a point where it's kind of becoming a bit of a hindrance because when you want to make things en masse and like another thing about trying to run a sustainable brand is that you want people to be able to afford it, right? So that it's not just like for this exclusive group of people who can afford sustainable clothing. So I've made the decision to like move most of my production to Portugal recently, and so I'm working on that and this new leg of this uniform, which will be selling like really good quality like base layer items in the same way as this uniform does, where everything's meant to be layered up together, but just more stripped back. So yeah, excited for that.
And you've got the London Marathon coming up as well.
Yes, I've got the London Marathon coming up, and my sister's getting married. That's a big one.
And you're the maid, they call it a maid of honour?
I am the maid of honour, which is really funny because I was never officially asked. I just decided I was. I feel like we have an unspoken agreement that we were always going to be each other's maid of honours.
What if you find out she's appointed someone else?
Well, I was just like to her one day. I was like, I am your maid of honour, right? And she was like, yeah, obviously. And I was like, cool. I was like, thought so. I don't know. I still feel so young, and I feel like she's still so young. I feel so crazy that she's getting married, and I think it'll be epic.
Thank you so much for coming on, Esme. It's been fascinating getting an insight into the fashion industry, and it's great to hear your beautiful top 5.
Thank you so much. It's been really nice speaking to you. I've enjoyed talking about it all.
And good luck with the marathon in a couple of weeks.
Thank you so much.
Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share with your friends. And if you want to be featured, then fill out the form in our bio. See you next time.